most people are more interested in the videos that are focusing on more the practical side of the scrapping or the cupping. So I will try to focus more on that. And indeed, I also agree that the practical video is more helpful, as there are a lot of others technical or theoretical understanding that is available on the internet. And so today I want to talk about an important concept. This scrapping, like or we call guasha in Chinese, or cupping. So both scrapping and cupping is more like a deeper tissue massage. It's actually, especially for scrapping, it's just another form of massages. It's just that it's going into deeper into the tissue with the aids of the tools like the guasha board or the scrapping board, or the machine, you know. So the reason why there is mark, or we call sha, that come out from our body is because when we goes into deeper tissue, when we have sufficient energy and there is some toxic accumulation, the toxic will come out from the capillary itself. So the capillary is not the main vein or the main this artery, but it's an interconnection blood vessel between the vein and the artery, which I've explained in greater details in another video. And some people think that is very unimaginable, but for us Chinese, it is a wisdom that has been passed on for over 2,000 years. And whoever experienced scrapping before will know that if a person who knows how to do it do for you, you will immediately feel the relief afterwards. For example, like recently I'm feeling some strain on my neck area, and immediately after my husband helped to scrap for me, and I feel that it's lighter and there's less strain on the neck. The effect is immediate, and we need to trust our body. You know, if let's say our body feels good after the treatment, it of course means that the treatment is good for us, good for our body. So if let's say you are a person who like to go for massage and you feel great relief after the massage, learning guasha, learning scrapping will help you to advance further in the world of massages, which is a great green therapy effect method. Today, I want to focus on the scrapping effect on the waist to get rid of waist pain. So for waist pain, in general, very broadly categorizing, there are two types of waist pain for Chinese medicine perspective. So the first one is because of weakness. So when the person is weak, the muscle has not enough strength, and is like when you scrap for the person, you will feel that the muscle is very soft and easily your board can goes into the flesh itself. It shows that the core muscle of the waist muscle is not sufficiently trained. So for weak type of waist pain, there's less achievable effect with scrapping. For this type of people, you just scrap for a while to really improve the blood circulation. You can stop after you feel that the part is more warm than before, but we don't expect the mark coming up, or we also don't want to do too extensive scrapping on this kind of a weaker patient. So they need to train up their muscle and need to take some, I mean, for Chinese medicine, there are ways to improve via this medicine or food therapy. So the second type of waist pain is because of too much excessive strain or excessive toxic at the muscle. So for this type of too much kind of waist pain, it is much more suitable to get rid of with the scrapping method. Especially when you look at the patient, so if let's say one side of the muscle is much taller than the other side, or when you scrap with the board, you can feel that one side of the muscle is much harder or much tighter or much less flexible than the other side, you know that there is imbalance forces at the muscle. It could be due to, for example, like a cameraman has the need to carry a camera on his left shoulder often, or for example, like my husband who plays golf and the swing is always on the right side, or things like that, that you have used your muscle in a non-proportionate way to cause this kind of unevenness of the muscle strain. It is pretty common, and it is very important to get rid of this kind of unevenness, because eventually it can cause instability at the waist, and also it's not good for our waist spine. If you look at the body structure of a human being, the waist is very vulnerable. The top part of our chest is protected by the ribs. There's this rib cage which stabilize our top body, and bottom we have this big hip bone, also helping the muscle to really secure the whole system. But our waist and a neck in a certain way as well is really very exposed. We are relying solely on the muscle itself to hold on to the spine. So especially waist is highly utilized. Like we have to turn, we have to bend down, we have to swing our waist, and the responsibility of the waist is very heavy. That's why waist is very prone to damages, which we have to really do this early maintenance on our waist to make sure that when we are old, our waist can function properly, and waist and legs are very much connected. For Chinese medicine, we say that when a person gets old, the legs get old first. A lot of old people have limitation on the mobility of the walking. So to prevent that from happening, we need to take great care of our waist and our legs starting from a younger age. I will show the video that when my teacher is doing scraping for a patient. So in general, we start from the center, which is the spine area of the waist, and do be more gentle on the spine because there is bone. Whenever you do scraping on a bone, be softer and be aware that we cannot have too much pressure on the bone itself. A scraping board works much better than a machine. In this case, I would suggest using a pure scraping board alone. Start from the middle of the spine. So for certain people which has higher energy and more toxic, you will see the mark coming up. So if let's say the mark is uneven or not straight, it can show that there's issue at the spine area. That means the spine itself is not straight. After the spine, we can scrap the left muscle and right muscle. And also you can observe the evenness of the color, of the pattern of the mark coming up. So in the example shown later, you will see that one side of the person muscle has much darker mark coming up than the other side. Not only that the mark is dark, the color itself, or on top of being dark, there's also much less mark. This signifies that this portion is actually much weaker in energy, and the blockage is of much older time because it's dark in color. That means it's more from the vein than the artery itself, which carries a lot more toxic and less oxygen. Compared to the other side, there are a lot more scar coming up, meaning that the blood flow at this area is much better, and the color is also lighter, meaning that the toxic accumulated there is much fresher and of much better quality. There is a key acupuncture point for waist pain. It's about 4 to 5 fingers away from this L4, which is the number 4 waist spine. So if you look at the drawing, L2 is correspond to the belly button, so roughly 2 thumbs below the L2, so you can find L4. So there should be a holes around that area, and this spot we can do a more thorough scraping, especially if let's say you feel pain at that area. For waist pain, another critical area is behind the knees. There are few key acupuncture points at there. We should hold the front of the knees and then do scraping at the back of the knees, as well as along the back of our legs, or lower legs. We should do the scraping, which I will show in the video later. This is my favorite teacher, Dr. Zhang. I really like her knowledge and her passion for scraping, and I learned so much from her. So she's demonstrating in a national channel TV channel in China. So she starts to scrap from the center of the spine. So the patient can be in a seated position or a lying down position. And the patient has to relax so that the muscle can relax. So she feels that the center already there is some difference, and just for a while the color of the mark is different on both sides. The left side looks to be darker and the right side looks to be lighter. And the side is not along the center of the line, it's more on the muscle area. Then she starts to scrap on the left side of the muscle. So she feels that the muscle is very, very tight. The muscle seems to have a lot of strain and it's very hard for the board to go through, and she asked the patient to relax, and it seems a little bit better on the upper area, but the bottom area still seems to be very, very hard. So there's a lot of strain at the flesh level, at the muscle level, and the patient himself can also feel that it's much harder. The patient himself can also feel the body condition when we do the scraping on him. And it seems that it's so hard that it's probably a few years of accumulation. And for the right side, you can feel that when we scrap from the top to the bottom, it's also a little bit hard, but the extent is so much better than the left side. And the patient said that the strategic waist point is pain. So it's where we call the waist eye acupuncture, which is very useful for the waist pain. So it's 4 to 5 fingers away from L4, as I explained earlier. So you can use the belly button to identify L2, and then about 2 thumbs below L2 will be L4. And around that area you can try to scrap and see if you feel any pain, and focus on there. If let's say you feel pain especially. And Dr. Zhang talks about the area beneath, which is more for the reproductive system or like a urine system. So for waist pain, we can focus more on just the waist area alone. And this scraping of the calf can also be done, same thing. It's better in a lying down position due to the restriction at the studio, so they do it in this position. So the area behind the knee is a very critical stocking point because it's a very flexible area. There are a lot of low points, so the blood is very easily trapped at this area. So you have to hold the front of the knee with one hand and then scrap at the back of the knee. A lot of people with waist pain will have problem and pain and mark at this area. In Chinese, we say that when you have waist pain, you look for Wei Zhong. Wei Zhong is an acupuncture point at the back of the knee. So Dr. Zhang also tried to use the clapping method, which is more painful and more difficult to do. You can just do scraping method, you will have the same effect. I mean, the clapping is very good, but it takes some practice. And you see that a lot of dark clot and dark mark comes out of the muscle, showing that indeed this part has a lot of blockages and toxic. And because his mark is closer to the inner thigh, so he has more area with the kidney meridian more than the gallbladder meridian. So by unclogging this area, it will help with the waist pain as well. So Dr. Zhang is saying that if we use Chinese medicine to, improve the blood circulation, you will need a lot of Chinese medicine. But by doing this kind of scraping and clapping method, you can relieve the clogging which has been accumulated for years in few minutes time. And also the calf area has also critical acupuncture point, especially towards the lower part of the calf, which is Chen San, Chen Qi, Fei Yang. So the center line of the calf muscle is somewhere that we need to focus on to scrap and unclog as well. I'm demonstrating for the third time. You see, I explained one time, and I show my teacher's demo one time, and finally I'm showing again in video. I really hope that you guys can try it out. It's really very good to try to cure the muscle strain with this method. So we start from the center, like what my teacher has shown, focusing on the spine. So we have to be more gentle when we are doing it on the spine. And if let's say you want to reduce the strength, you just make a smaller angle or do it slower. And you can see that the scraping board actually is designed for having the spine at the center, and then relaxing the two side muscles. After that, we can do the scraping on the side muscle. So when you are doing scraping, you have to be aware of the general things beneath your board. For example, when there's bone, you have to control your strength and don't be too fast and too strong. So for my husband's case, his problem area is on the right side. So usually I just focus on the right side for him. And I think over about 4 or 5 months, the muscle is already so much better than I first started. I remember that it was like so hard and so stone-like when I started to do the scraping for him. And I mean, the focus is actually the waist area, but because for the video purpose, I don't want to show like too low of the body part, so I mean, it's actually the same thing. The back has more muscle, of course, it's thicker, so around the waist area the flesh is thinner, and the hip bone is beneath, so you can feel the difference, and you just maneuver with suitable strength. I think it's pretty intuitive. He actually has more blockages along the hip bone, at the interface between the back to waist area. So importantly, your board has to go into the flesh and not scraping on the skin itself, because the purpose is to relax the muscle underneath, not just the surface of the skin. It's not our intention to really scrap the skin. So that area he actually has quite some blockages. I don't know when I can get rid of it, but I will do it consistently. I'm now doing scraping on the left side of his back and waist, which is less of a problem area. I can feel that the muscle is so much more flexible and relaxed and healthy, because my husband he do yoga, and overall he's very healthy, and his right waist and back is his long-term issue. And actually I'm pretty tired already. I mean, that's the issue with scrapping. You need some strength to focus on it, but I'm very sure that effort will pay off. And this is about a long-term commitment. We do it every week. It's not like one time or 2 times kind of thing. Green therapy has usually no side effect, but the thing is, it's more long-term. And in fact, with a long-term thing, you can achieve more like a deeper and more real solution. Okay, I'm looking for the waist eye point that we talk about. So with respect to the belly button, we correspond it to the L2 at the parallel line, and then you can feel 2 spine below, which is L4, so which is the x-axis, and beside L4, about 4 to 5 fingers away from the L4 is the waist eye point on 2 sides. It's like a little small hole there. So there are 2 sides of it, 4 to 5 fingers away from the center of the spine. So for my husband, he don't feel pain, but it can be a very critical point for a lot of people with waist pain. Then we come to the last part of the video. So this is very critical, as it's really the wisdom of Chinese medicine to know that all this calf area is very critical for the waist pain. It's heavily connected to the waist. So the area behind the knee is a very critical area. So you can try to clear the blockage at this area. So the bone is very deep inside, so you need greater strength when you scrap at the center to go deeper inside. The side has more bones, so it's more on the, as in you don't have to scrap so near inside. So here is the Wei Zhong and Wei Yang Xie, which in Chinese medicine we say that when you have a waist pain, look for Wei Zhong. So you can see that there are some photo on the internet, when you have those black thing come out, oh wow, it's really good. That means you have managed to get rid of the old accumulated blood clot inside. So the lower part of the calf is also have a lot of key point. The center, and also basically the whole lower calf area is also connected to the waist in many ways. So I hope that if you have waist pain, you can try to do this consistently on the waist area, on the this back of the knee, and also the lower calf area, to help you improve and relieve on your waist pain issue. Okay, all the best. Thank you. Bye.